This thing should be in a museum. It should be in a museum. It has officially tied the title for most useless tank at tier 10 with the AMX 65T from the French heavies. They're both up there competing for that title of utterly useless tanks.
And I have a user's question for you, Stephen, that I want to redrop in chat there.
Okay.
There you go.
How to play AMX AC 48? Can't get over 2k damage in that clap. Even tier 6 is paying me too easily. Do you know, I don't have enough knowledge about 48. Okay. 20 shells, 34 seconds. I'd play it with mediums. What you want to do, I mean, tier 8, you're going to be facing tanks, same tier, sort of regularly, you're going to have, like, anywhere from 1,500 to sort of 2,000 hit points. You can do, what, 1,200 in a clip? So, with this tank, pretty much regardless of what you're facing, you're not going to be able to kill it in a clip, which is a major disadvantage for something with such easily exploitable weak spots. In addition to that long reload. Whereas if you've got something like the AMX 5100, for example, 6 shells, 300 alpha damage, 1,800 clip potential, you're pretty certain when you go after a target that you will be able to take it down. The additional number of shells offers more flexibility in that regard. If you miss a shell here, that's a third of your clip potential gone. Which, yeah, I can imagine it makes it a very difficult tank to play, not least of which because of what I said about the clip, but also not having a turret, another degree of flexibility taken away from the vehicle. Obviously, when I played this tank, it didn't have the autoload. It was a single-shot tank, which is going to change the dynamic quite significantly. 16 horsepower per ton is not bad. It's not going to be ridiculously fast, but it's mobile in comparison to something like a Borsig or a lot of other tier 8 tank destroyers. It's probably going to be just a little bit faster than your Chinese TDs, as an example. So I'd play it with mediums. I'd wait for your opportunity. Go with mediums, because what you have to understand is that with autoloaders and any tank with massive stored potential, think a Death Star, think a 215B, you contribute to the game by presence, more so than another tank that doesn't have those attributes. If I am trying to push into a situation where I've got 2 single-shot tanks, me and my platoon mates can focus one of them down, and then focus the other one down. It's a very simple thing. But if I'm attacking into something like a Death Star or an AMX AC 48, then suddenly one tank has massively more potential than the other, and it is going to put out a huge amount of damage in that small period of time, which makes it a harder thing for the enemy to engage. So even if you're up there with the medium tanks, right, and you're not actively doing damage, by staying healthy, by keeping those shells in your clip and waiting for that opportunity, you are actively contributing to the success of your team on that flank. And it may be that by observing the map and seeing that your team's losing on the other side, you and that inherent stored potential that your tank has is what's needed to break the stalemate and push through that choke point with the mediums. If you make an aggressive display of confidence and aggression and try and focus a particular tank down, most of the time your team will support you. Your team, you might die in the bargain, but that's kind of the risk you've got to take. So yeah, I'd say play it with mediums. One of the reasons the Progetto 46 is so retardedly overpowered now is because when you have a meta-breaking piece of equipment, and now meta-breaking equipment is stuff like the gun rammer. The gun rammer is more or less essential on just about every single tank in the game. There are very, very few tanks that can use a gun rammer where you would elect not to, because other pieces of equipment are more valuable. If anyone can name a tank off the top of their head where you choose not to use a gun rammer, it's going to be a very short list, isn't it? And so that's what you would call meta-defining equipment. What it means is that it is so essential to the playstyle and the dynamics and the competitive aspect of a vehicle to use this equipment that it becomes meaningless to have the equipment in the first place. Think of The Incredibles, right? Syndrome's plan. When everyone's special, no one will be. It's very much a similar idea with equipment. If you have a piece of equipment that is so overpowered and so essential that no one's not going to use it, it's pointless to have it in the first place. Because all you're doing is basically saying, okay, here, have 3 equipment slots, but one of them is a gun rammer. Because you're never not going to use a gun rammer. So you have 2 equipment slots. What they've done with the Progetto 46 is they've taken the rammer away, but buffed it so that it functions as if it still has a gun rammer, even though it doesn't. So what that has done is it has given it an additional equipment slot because it has an inherent gun rammer. They have taken a meta-defining piece of equipment, a piece of equipment that is so game-breakingly overpowered that it's used more or less essentially on every single tank in the game, and on this tier 8 premium tank that they have deemed too overpowered, they've given it as an inherent buff to the vehicle itself while giving it an additional equipment slot to use. I don't think I can, with the words in the English language, aptly sum up just how asinine that is. Not much we could do. Honest, should I have gone for the Leo? No, the Leo would have just gone verse behind the E4. It was like to kill the E4 in that circumstance. Our Object 140 got shat on by the Arty. The Leo got shat on by the Arty. I got shat on by the Arty. I love fucking the Arty in tier 10 games, honestly. And there are people who think EBRs are worse than Arty. Honestly, I mean, that's a matter of opinion. The thing you can state, Vertstabs, is that they're bad for the same reasons. And that is because, honestly, I think EBRs are worse. I do think EBRs are worse than Arty, purely because they have greater potential. EBRs and Arty are bad at a base implementation because of skill, right? When you're outplayed in a game, that to me makes it better, right? If someone just plays better than you, right, that's okay. You can learn from that. But the thing about Arty and the thing about EBRs is they can fuck you over with no skill involved whatsoever. A bad Arty player can kill you just as easily as a good Arty player. And an EBR, YOLOing about, can get you killed just by pure luck. Suicide scouting and scouting are the same thing to an EBR. Like, the skill level needed to be really fucking annoying is really low in both Arty and EBRs. But what makes EBRs worse is that they have a massive skill cap. If you get a really good player in an EBR, they are a terror. They will not make the tiny mistakes that a bad player will do that will get them killed. They will they will stay alive and they will fuck you over. They will play well at the same time as not needing to play well to fuck you over. If you get a good player in an Arty, the Arty playstyle is not three-dimensional enough for that to matter. And that's why, in my opinion, EBRs are far worse than Arty. Okie. So, what you're going to realize is this is defensive assault. People that SU, people that Fosh are being entirely irrelevant. The only way to make them relevant to that game, to this game, is to attack into them. And that gives them relevancy, it gives them power over the outcome of the game. If you don't attack into people like this on a defensive assault, they have no power. They no longer influence the game. Time is on your side to play defensively and don't give them anything. Make them work for it. They want to attack, they want to get damage, they want to win the game, they're going to have to push in to an entrenched position. I'm not going to push into TDs, particularly on defensive assault.